So let's go with some intimacy tips. First thing, do something with your spouse that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, kind of goes along with spontaneity.
Goes along with spontaneity. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because if you see, there's connection between all these spices, right? If you think about cooking, right? If you're cooking a chicken dish, you're only going to put spices in there that go together.
Yeah.
So you're not going to put cocoa powder in your chicken dish.
Yeah.
Well, because would you?
There is some kind of chocolate, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, well, I need to try that. That sounds weird enough that I would probably try it.
I don't think I'd like it.
But you get what I'm saying, right?
I get what you're saying.
There's certain things, if you're baking a cake and you're baking a pound cake, you're not going to put corn in your pound cake.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with this. These things go together, right? These are spices that go together. They grow off each other.
Yeah.
They need each other to survive, if you will. And so they all are related.
Yeah.
Okay. So do something with your spouse that you wouldn't normally do.
So the next one is schedule your intimate time. Now, a lot of times when we say this to couples, they're like, what?
Yeah, sounds weird.
Sounds weird. We like to be spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, sometimes it's a great idea to schedule your intimate times, because that way you know that you're actually going to work on being intimate.
And that's good. And you said something too, right? It goes against being spontaneous, right? So although it seems like it contradicts the first one that we talked about, again, if you're thinking about cooking, right?
You got to balance it out.
You got to put some salt in your food, but you can't put the whole container of salt in your food, because if you put the whole container of salt in your food, you're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. There's levels to this. There's some balance that you got to kind of work out. You can't just be flying by the seat of your pants the entire relationship. There has to be some scheduling. There has to be some, what's the word that I'm thinking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. But there has to be, you have to have some scheduling, some structure.
Is that the word?
That's the word I was looking for.
There it is.
There has to be some structure. And sometimes, in order to make sure that you are being intentional, like we said, you got to put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Like today, I was like, from 2:00 on, I'm doing something very different than work. And I had to put that on my calendar, set my out of office, and I had to schedule that time. So don't be afraid to do that. It's not as weird as it seems. It actually helps you to get to your goal.
Absolutely.
Right? And the third one is learn each other's love language and speak it.
It's not enough to just know what it is.
Right. You got to do it. So what is your love language?
My love language is acts of service.
And mine is physical touch. Well, it's kind of a mix, physical touch and quality time. If you haven't already, if you go to the 5 love languages, I think .com it is, you can take that quick test. It's very, very quick to give you an idea of what your top 2, well, they give you all 5 in order, but you can see what your top
2 are.
Yeah, your top 2 are, and have a conversation with your spouse. You're going to hear this all the time that we say this. Have a conversation with your spouse about what that love language is and how do I speak that love language. I give this example all the time when we're talking about love languages. When we were going to work, the head maintenance guy in our building is Hispanic. And so he is the most wonderful person I've ever met in my entire life. And every time he sees me, he insists that we have a conversation in Spanish. I know no Spanish, not one thing.
You should by now.
I should. and I'm going to get to that in a second. I should, as many times as he's talked to me. But what I had to do was, when I didn't know how to say something, I had to ask him, hey, how do I say this so that I speak it properly? And that's the same thing you might have to do with your spouse. Okay, your spouse's love language is quality time. Babe, tell me what that looks like to you. What are the types of things that you want me to do or say or whatever it is that will make me speak that language? And then you got to be consistent.
Yes.
Because going back to my story with the great gentleman in the building where I work, I would have a conversation with him one day, but I would dismiss it afterward. I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't practice the words. I may not see him for a day or two, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm not intentionally going over, okay, he said hola.
Right.
That means hello. Or he said, whatever he said, simpatica, or that means, pretty or whatever it is. I'm not thinking about that. So the next time I see him, he thinks that I could just say the same things that I said before, but because I haven't really been consistent and I haven't really been thinking about it and haven't been intentional about learning it, I'm starting all over again. And we don't want to do that with our spouse, right? We want to be consistent. We want to learn that love language and then consistently speak it.
Yeah.
All right.